I'll just be very plain and simple. I was in the State of the Union address, and Joe Biden must have been jacked up on something that day. I absolutely believe that from a medical viewpoint, and actually have a little bit of good knowledge that happened.
That is Republican Greg Murphy of North Carolina. As the headline says, GOP congressman in absolutely nuts Fox interview claims he has evidence Biden was under the influence during the State of the Union.
Congressman, what do you mean when you say he was jacked up at the State of the Union?
I believe they gave him something to help him sustain the lights and sustain the vigor that he had. That was not Joe Biden. I was in there. He screamed for 2 hours. He screamed for 2 hours. And, maybe we can talk offline and I'll show you something, and I think that proves that.
Well, you'll show me what?
I think I can have some evidence that shows that he was given something before then.
Okay. In terms of a medicine or?
Yeah, Joe, there's no way Joe is 82. There's a picture taken of him last week he was on the beach without his makeup on. And guess what? He looks like, an 82-year-old. You can see his surgical scar in the back where he had his facelift. You can see that very plainly. He's being manufactured and puppeteered by the Democratic Party to be president of the United States. And I fully believe that has to do sometimes with pharmacology.
Pharmacology, drugs. President Biden is being puppeteered and was jacked up during the State of the Union. Well, a lot to dissect here. First, of course, President Biden is going to look different in a high-profile speech with makeup on and in a jacket and tie than when lounging in swim attire along the ocean. Secondly, exactly how is it responsible or credible to go on TV and claim President Biden was on drugs and then say, I can show you some things offline? Congressman, that would be like me saying you are doing lines of coke and I can prove it privately. But I would never say something that incendiary without actually displaying the evidence for everybody to see. And if you are going to make wild and possibly defamatory allegations, Congressman, you should lay out what you have publicly. Claiming you can show Maria Bartiromo something off camera is the hallmark of a despicable loser. Thirdly, there are plenty of reasons having nothing to do with drugs that would explain Joe Biden being jacked up during the State of the Union. The nonpartisan PolitiFact, job growth in Biden's first 3 years is faster than any of his 4 predecessors. Biden created 15 million jobs in his first 3 years. In Donald Trump's first 3 years, which was before the pandemic, the Trump economy created 6.7 million jobs. See the difference? PolitiFact, Biden has the strongest record of any recent president on increasing manufacturing jobs. PolitiFact, one difference between the Biden and Trump economies is data showing that the wage increases under Biden have been especially robust for poorer people. In other words, the Biden economy is helping poorer people as well as the middle class and wealthy. PolitiFact, Trump could make plenty of accurate claims about the pain of inflation. However, Trump has exaggerated how much prices have risen for bacon, overall food, and gasoline. In other words, the fact is that the Biden economy has been booming and inflation is not as bad as Biden critics claim. So there are plenty of reasons for President Biden in describing the State of our Union to be enthusiastic, excited, and yes, jacked up. Now, Republican Greg Murphy, who is a practicing surgeon, made his wild drug claims about President Biden while discussing potential presidential debates.
It's going to be important that President Trump stays presidential. He did that during the last debate. He did not do that during the first debate. That he stays on track. He shows the American people how much worse they are 4 years from 4 years ago. What this President Biden has done to destroy this country.
President Biden has destroyed this country and Americans were better off 4 years ago during the pandemic. And that's a lawmaker who wants to be believed about anything?
President Trump just has to stay in his lane and act presidential. Sometimes he can get off on a wheel. We all know that and love that about him, but it sometimes hurts his issues. But Biden will falter and falter if he doesn't have things right in front of him telling him what to do.
Because Donald Trump never falters, right, Congressman Murphy?
Just this week it was reported that an illegal alien, and you just look at this, what's happening. This is a magazine that I've never read, but probably doesn't like Trump. Heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat. Did you just see Maduro, Venezuela? It's weaponizing law enforcement for high-level election interference against Joe Biden's top and only political appointment, a guy named me. When Trump was president, there were none of these problems. Israel wouldn't have been attacked. Ukraine and Russia wouldn't be fighting. I knew Putin. I know him very well. There was no way he was going in.
Potent?
In Florida, Mar-a-Lago, they raided. With they had no reason. United States Steel Company. One of the great companies of the world 50 years ago is being sold to Japan. Congratulations, Japan. All complaints of an incompetent,
Near the end, Trump butchered the word become.
crime-ridden nation. We have become a nation like nobody thought possible. Before going any further, I want to say God bless the people of Israel. They're under attack right now. That's because we show great weakness. This would not happen.
Weaknicks? But never mind Donald Trump. Let's get back to Joe Biden, and let's assume, just for argument's sake, that President Biden was jacked up on some kind of drug or drugs to give him an energy boost. So what? President Biden is not getting a spring in his step by demeaning women or raping one, as Donald Trump has been adjudicated in a court to have done. President Biden isn't lying about the election results and then encouraging supporters to storm the Capitol to try and thwart democracy. President Biden is not offering oil and gas companies whatever they want for $1 billion in campaign cash. But Donald Trump did that just the other week. And by the way, Donald Trump has acknowledged he fuels up on cheeseburgers and an endless stream of Coca-Cola, a sugary drink with a lot of caffeine. And yet, Congressman Murphy, you think Biden has a problem or a substance problem? The real problem is with countless MAGA Republican lawmakers like yourself. You just cannot stomach the idea that Joe Biden is not the senile caricature Donald Trump has claimed. And every time President Biden delivers a compelling speech, shows energy, and guides this nation well, Republicans freak out.
And Joe Biden must have been jacked up on something that day. I absolutely believe that from a medical viewpoint.
Whatever. Reality often hits the delusional the hardest. Get ready for the debates, Congressman, if Donald Trump does not back out, and that's a big if. Because President Biden is going to be especially jacked up, and all MAGA world will have when Donald Trump gets torched again is another round of excuses. By the way, Donald Trump supporter Marjorie Greene recently delivered a bonkers defense of conservative extremists and an unhinged attack on Fox News.
Fox News wants to make sure that you guys don't have your own opinion, that you only have the opinion that Fox News tells you to have. And that's why Fox News attacks Steve Bannon. That's why Fox News attacks Charlie Kirk. And that's why Fox News would love to murder Tucker Carlson. And that's the reality. And that's why Fox News is losing viewers.
Fox is losing viewers because they want to murder Tucker Carlson. Well, there's no evidence of both. Still, check out that video on Greene at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from Paul Treeps, who wrote, "Kremlin Marge spewing Putin propaganda." Indeed. I look forward to reading your comments about the bonkers MAGA lawmaker Murphy, who claims President Biden at the State of the Union was jacked up on drugs. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.